So now we are looking at pronunciation. We have studied the regular simple past and we know about the spellings. We're going to look a bit more now at how we say the words. And I want you to think, what is the sound? What is the last sound, the sound at the end of that past tense verb that you hear? And we're going to think about that. So for example, worked. There's my verb, there's my past tense. Worked. What's that sound at the end that you can hear? Worked. He worked in a restaurant. Stayed. Stayed. That's my verb. What's the last sound that you hear? Stayed. Lee stayed in a refugee camp. Let's think. What sound do you hear? Worked. Stayed. Worked. Stayed. With my first verb, worked, that last sound was a t sound. That was the sound that you heard. Worked. With my second verb, stayed. Stayed. The sound that you heard was d. Remember the spelling? We know it's ed. Worked, ed. Stayed, ed. We're not looking at the writing. We're not looking at spelling. We're thinking about how we say the words. Worked, stayed. So we have a t sound and a d sound. Why? Well, we're going to think about that. Take your hand and put your hand here. Work. K, k. So my verb is work. K, k. My verb is stay. 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 Can you feel the difference? Work. K, k. There's no movement here in your throat. Stay. Stay. You can feel this moving. So we need to think, what is that sound? What is happening in our throat at the end of that verb? Work. K. Nothing moving here. Stay. It's moving here. Work. K, k. Worked. Nothing here. T sound. Stay. Moving here. Stayed. D. D sound. Let's think about that just a little more, and we're going to look at our board to help us with that. So there we have worked. There's my spelling, ed. But the sound is a t sound. Number two, we're going to change our verb a little bit there. It's move. Move. Moved. So let's look at the difference between those two. For number one, let's put our hand on our throat again. Put our hand on our throat. Work. K, k. See? Nothing is moving there. And so we have our t sound. Worked. That's what you hear. Move. If you put your hand on your throat and you feel your throat moving. Moved. So we call these they have a different name. And I'm going to write the name up for you. So, when your throat is moving, number 2, we call these voiced. It's voiced because your throat is moving, voiced. With number 1, there's no moving. This is unvoiced. When there is no moving of the throat, there's the T sound. When there's moving in the throat, it's the D sound, and that's voiced. We'll look at number 3 in a moment. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say a verb in the past, and you need to tell me, is it 1 or 2? Lived, lived. 1 or 2? It's 2. We say our verb live, put your hand on your throat, and your throat is moving. It's voiced, lived. Talked, talked. Is it 1 or 2? Talked. Put your hand on your throat, talk. No moving. So, talked. The sound is T. It's number 1. It's unvoiced. Played, played. 1 or 2? 2. It's voiced. It's a D sound. Cooked, cooked. 1 or 2? It's 1. It's a T sound. It's unvoiced. Cleaned, cleaned. 1 or 2? It's 2. It's that D sound, because the N in clean is voiced. Listened, listened. 1 or 2? So let's think about our verb, listen, listen, listened. It's 2. It's voiced. It's my D sound. Walked, walked. 1 or 2? It's 1. It's unvoiced. Walked. Now let's look at our number 3. And we studied this a little bit before in our other lesson. Need. The verb is need. Past. Spelling needed. It's an ud sound. Needed. I can put another verb in that number 3 group. Want, want, wanted. It's an ud sound. Because, remember, we looked at if my last letter of my verb is T, like want, wanted. It's my ud sound. If my last letter of my verb is D, need, needed. So this is our pronunciation. 1, 2, and 3. Unvoiced, T sound. Voiced, D sound. And if the last letter of the verb is T or D, it's an ud sound. So we can write a few more verbs under these groups, and you can write them down with me. So, walked, W-A, let's do it together, L-K-E-D. Remember the spelling is the same, but it's the pronunciation of that T sound at the end, walked. Talked, spell it along with me, T-A-L-K-E-D. Looked. Let's have a look at group 2. So we have our moved. Lived. Spell it along with me. L-I-V-E-D. Played. L-A-Y-E-D. Stayed. Let's get one more in the bottom there. Let's have about cleaned. Our last group. Need, needed. Can you remember some of the other verb that we talked about? We had want, wanted. My last letter is a T. In need, my last letter is the D. So speaking, needed, wanted. What about wait? Wait. What's my last letter? T. Waited. How about visit? My last letter there is my T. Visited. Let's go through them and listen and repeat. Walked. Talked. Looked. Lived. Played. Stayed. Cleaned. Wanted. Waited. Visited. Alrighty, go ahead and pause your video so you can write these words down, remembering you're talking about how you say the word. Alrighty, and practice saying them and repeating them. Alrighty, goodbye for me for now, and I'll see you next time.